Hi, my friends. It's been a crazy week. I just saw a hilarious video. This woman on TikTok does these like how to survive the year, different stages throughout the year. And she was talking about surviving the rest of this year. And it was just hilarious. And so today I just kind of wanted to reflect very quickly on the life and the legacy of the great D'Angelo. You know, when I stopped to look back at when that video, the one we all know I'm talking about, that video, when it came out, it sent shockwaves throughout Generation X. You know, that was like one of the most formative, new things in music, in videos, in, sex symbols at the time. When I think about that video, it came out in 2000 and it was such a big deal. He had the front of his pants were, you couldn't see any pants. All you saw was that cut going down to that crotch. That's all you saw. And it was enough to drive women and some men wild. It was insane. And to think about how things have changed with regard to sexuality and how these artists present themselves from now and 25 years ago is crazy. So I saw something yesterday that said that he hated D'Angelo being called a sex symbol. And I found that so shocking, but it just goes to show that you never know what people are dealing with, how they want to be perceived, how they want to be seen and respected. And I'm telling you, it stayed on my mind since yesterday. Like, damn, he didn't want to be a sex symbol, but he oozed sexuality. He oozed sexiness. He oozed, he just had it, Some people just do. And I think that it's crazy when people assume just because you exude sexuality and you exude a certain energy that that's all you want to be perceived as. And it's just not always the case. So I hate that I'm just learning this, after I've lusted after this man for so long. But I mean, is that, maybe it was just marketing in these industries? You know how Hollywood goes and how the music industry goes. They push people to go along with certain things, even though that's not really what they want to do. So maybe that's what happened to him. Maybe they saw him and they said, look, bro, you might not want to do this, but you got to do this because this is how this is going to go down. These women are going to be all over you. And so he went with it. But then after that album came out, apparently, and I vaguely remember this, he didn't come out with another album for a while. He had horrible writer's block. And he couldn't really get anything out, So I just wanted to say here, respect to D'Angelo. You left such a legacy, so many amazing songs in his catalog that are just like the soundtrack of love. That's one thing about his music too. It was so just deep and oozing with love and yearning that we just don't get as much of today, I think that generationally things have changed so much. And I try not to be one of these people, the kids these days. I try not to do that because the fact of the matter is this, every generation has its thing. Just right now, this current generation, they think that they got it all figured out and they don't care about what older generations think, the same as when I was younger, the same as when the generation before me was younger. It's just how it goes, So I asked my niece yesterday, she's a junior in college, I asked her if she was familiar with him. And she said no. I was so shocked for a second, but it just reminded me that I'm getting older, and generations don't know. But the same as I discovered music that I came to love, that came before me, I'm sure that her generation will as well. And I really am looking forward to them being able to dive in and discover that music. Like, he'd be like, for them, like me diving into Marvin Gaye when I was a kid, And so, D'Angelo, we hate that you've left us. I hope that you are having an eternal resting party wherever you are in the heavens. And much respect to his family. Just all the condolences, because he died. He had a son with Angie Stone, also another formidable force in music, and she died just a few months before. So, it's a lot. It's been a crazy year. But I wanted to say this just as a reminder that we just have to be thoughtful about respecting how people want to be perceived and just appreciating what people allow us to see of them, whatever that may be. I hope you have a great week, my friends. Peace.